And there's actual footage from Coast Guard photographs where you can see the machine gun firing, you know, on the beach. So anyways, Captain Goranson and the Rangers come ashore here, and one of the assault boats they were singing happy birthday to one of the guys who didn't make it. And another boat just went out from under another group of Rangers. But so they basically, 60 men land on the beach. By the time they make it from the watercrest to here, they're down to 30. They climb this area, and they're basically coming in right over this way. And this is where Goranson had the decision to make: either turn right and help relieve the Rangers at Pointe du Hoc, or turn left and help out the 29th. He takes a look from his vantage point over there and realizes it is a slaughterhouse going on here. So they basically assault this gun and take it out, and then basically stay up on this ridge, taking out every German, pocket. Here we can see these very, strong fortified positions, but the Germans had stuff down on the beach, just sandbags, and they were in much lighter areas too. But the Americans coming ashore were so defenseless, and it was just, still a slaughter. The Germans didn't have to worry about that kind of thing.
Well, they had all that crap too, that was like jackrocks and stuff
yes,
on the beaches.
The
and
tetrahedras, and this was not a friendly place.
No.
Yeah. But a lot of people credit Goranson with saving the day. That, because of his action of turning left instead of right, he basically saved the day at Omaha Beach. Goranson was later portrayed by Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan. However, Goranson made it through the entire war and came on one of our tours back in, I think, 2002. But, I don't think any other spot than this gives it.
Do you think he saved the day?
No, nobody ever does that. It's my buddies that did it all. I'll tell you that we had some guy whose father had died, but his father had been a ranger, and we were given this whole tour across Europe, and we got to Hill 400 in the Herkton Forest where the Rangers fought, and someone said, "Kevin, that's Goranson." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I got to talk to him." And the lead guy came up and said, "Kevin, I need you to give a talk on the Malmedy Massacre in 20 minutes. Can you do it?" And so I had to get in the bus and study instead of talking to this guy. So at dinner that night, I went over to him and I said, "Captain Goranson, I've read all your stuff. I really want to talk to you." And this guy standing next to me, he's like, "Kevin, I bet you don't know that there were airborne troops at Pointe du Hoc." I'm like, "Company K, 2 guys." He's like, "Okay." I said, "Captain Goranson, let me just ask you one question." And the guy says, "Kevin, I bet you don't know the name of the guy that took out all the guns at Pointe du Hoc." And I'm like, "Coon?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, and by that point, I just gave up. I got his phone number, but I still haven't called him. I've just been too busy. But, you can basically see the entire length of Omaha Beach and how far it stretches from right here. And I'm glad we hit it at low tide, because imagine making that trek across the beach. And one thing I want to mention, you see these rocks down here? They were basically out by the water's edge. It was sort of a ridge of rocks. And a lot of guys would kind of get there and sort of steady themselves and come in further. But if you ever decide to go down here and either sit or something on these rocks, man, it is not, you can imagine getting winded and going down on that hard surface. It's pretty nasty. If you look at Robert Kappa's photographs, you can actually see the ridge of rocks. Robert Kappa came in with the 1st Infantry much further down that way, took 109 photographs, climbed back into an assault boat, got out of there, brought the all of his stuff back to England. They developed the film, and they exposed it too quickly, destroying all but 7 of those photographs. So you can imagine how happy he was that day. But his are probably the best photographs, and that's what people think of, I think, when they think of D-Day, or the Robert Kappa photographs of Omaha Beach. Before Band of Brothers came out, a lot of people were saying, "Well, the airborne never gets its due." And I said, "Sorry, but nobody took real, photographs at midnight of the paratroopers jumping out of the planes." I actually interviewed an alternate on a C-47. So you got your pilot, your co-pilot, and an alternate. And his job on D-Day was the first stick would stand up and charge out the plane, and he would follow the last guy. But when the last guy jumped, he then sat himself in a chair right by the door and then pull a lever to release all the stuff, the supplies on the fuselage, and then the other stick would leave. And he said once it was all over, he turned and looked out the doorway, and he said that he was watching other paratroopers jumping out of their planes and flying into the propellers of the planes behind them because the planes had gotten too jammed up. Yeah, that was. He told. I said, does that one come back to you? He goes, all the time. But if you interview pilots, you'll find that their biggest fear, the nightmares they have, is always a fire. Of always catching fire before
Can we go in there?
Oh, no, I see what it is.
Yeah. I see why they call it a box.
I guess
Oh, I was gonna say, you gotta.
Yikes.